Welcome back to the A Concept You podcast, a space encouraging you to deepen your understanding of yourself, empowering you to become a better holistic you, and supporting your flow through life to help you bridge generational gaps. I am Makala Aayana, an artist, curator, and your host. This is our second to last episode of season 1, and I just truly cannot wrap my head around that. I think it's insane that a whole year has passed since I launched this podcast, and I'm just grateful for how A Concept You has been received already. I think that my vision for it has definitely changed over the last year, almost 2 years that I've been kind of reintroduced to it, and so it's interesting and it's honestly such a cool process to kind of see how it ebbs and flows and changes over the months and over the years. So I'm very grateful to see how much it is resonating with people, not only on the podcast, but the creative wellness workshops. I hosted the first one a couple of days ago, focused on collage, and I had a whole lesson plan. I had a whole thing that I wanted to kind of talk through about the benefits of collage and really what it adds to your well-being and also just as a creative outlet. But all of that went out the window as soon as everyone sat down and we got into it, just because the conversation was flowing so well. When I tell you the synergies between the things that I talk about on here, the things that I experience in life, what my art is kind of based on, the way that I kind of see the world, and those people or the people who have already been engaged in A Concept You as an initiative, it aligns so well, and that's truly what my goal was for A Concept You, is to allow people to see themselves in this. It's not just me, it's not just about my story, but it's about allowing people to own their stories and show up in the best way so that they can continuously tell that story. And so I'm just really grateful to have been able to hold that space for the couple of people who came to our first workshop. I'm just really excited, and I've been getting a lot of comments and people asking me around how I can create this in a virtual format. So that is on the way. I have been brainstorming it. I have been thinking about it. So I want to make sure I package that correctly. So that will be an offer very, very soon. But I'm just really grateful and really excited to see how A Concept You will be transitioning into the second season. So last time on our last episode, we talked about slowing down as we shift into this new season, the last 3 months of the year, and also into 2025. But today I want to talk about what it looks like to maintain and really manage that pace as you shift into a new season. I think it is important to slow down, but it's also important to know how to manage that pace so that when things get a little hectic, when things go a little bit too fast, you're able to kind of slow down time for yourself based on whatever, making sure that your needs are being met. So over the last couple of weeks, I have started 2 different personal development courses or practices, and I initially started off with redoing or restarting The Artist Way, which is a spiritual path to higher creativity. It's a workbook that was written by Julia Cameron in the 1990s. It's just a very good tool for artists and creatives and people who want to get out of a creative block or really understand where your creativity lies. And so I've been really enjoying that as a process. I am on week 4, going into week 5, and it's just been a really good process. It's been very eye-opening, and again, with the synergies, there's a lot that I am uncovering or rediscovering, and it is interesting to see how the puzzle pieces are fitting into place. So that's one thing. And the other thing is I recently got accepted into Useful School, into their personal styling class, which is led by Ritesh Gupta. And I'll talk a little bit more about their org a little more into the episode, but I am really enjoying class so far. I am on week 3 going into week 4. For that, we have already just unlocked a lot around confidence, around showing up as your best self when it comes to your styling, your outward appearance. And I think that's been a project for me that I've always wanted to get into, but just hadn't. So I just realized that this was the perfect time, and I'm just really excited to get more into class, see what the next couple of weeks have to offer me and the things that I'll learn. So I've already kind of gotten a couple of things that have really resonated with me for both the Artist's Way and also the personal styling class that I'm in. So I definitely want to share those things with you all, and just explain over the next couple of weeks, over the next months, and really into the new year, how I am moving at my own pace and maintaining my own pace. So 2025 is going to be a very big year for me. I have my solo show in the summer. I have a group show that I just started curating a little late in the game in March, and a bunch of other things in between that I'm just anticipating, needing to be prepared for. So I'm just very excited to get into what 2025 has to offer me, but I know in order to do that, I need to be able to manage my pace where I'm at right now. And so I'm using the last couple of months of the year and really into the next year as well, because it's an ongoing thing, to really just focus on what that pace looks like for me. So as we shift into the next season, there are a few things that I wanted to bring to y'all that have resonated with me the most. And to kind of explain what Useful School is, it's a for-profit public benefit corporation that offers practical classes for people of color. All of their classes are virtual and they are pay what you can. So you're able to kind of donate whatever you would like to the course. And they provide coaching for creatives and leaders. It was founded by Ritesh Gupta, and they are on a mission to help people of color really level up their confidence, their craft, their portfolios, to get more gigs, to improve their wealth. And they do this by offering a number of personal development courses, and those courses will cover anywhere between, the practical lessons, the things that you'll learn, but they also talk through the things that you don't really get from that traditional education. And I think that the conversations that we have been having and hearing from different perspectives have really been enlightening from this class so far. And I'm just grateful to honestly be in it. It's been such a great space. Again, everything that I have been feeling, have been thinking, have been questioning in terms of how I show up in this world are things that we have already discussed or plan to discuss over the next couple of weeks. And I'm just right exactly where I need to be. So if you're looking for more opportunities or for ways to grow alongside a community that is super supportive, Useful School is definitely the place for you. So I encourage you all to check them out, and I will include some details in the show notes below. I actually ended up applying to Useful School last summer and finally heard back a couple of months ago when I was accepted into their personal styling class. And so we are in the very beginning weeks of the course, but our last class focused on confidence and what it looks like to advocate for yourself and reframe your perceived weaknesses and turn them into things that give you power. There was something that was mentioned in class, and it was, you are invited into rooms because you belong there. That phrase, I immediately wrote it down in my notes because that was something that I feel like I needed to hear in the moment. And I've also been getting many reminders and many confirmations of that notion as well, especially when it comes to a concept U. I have been noticing just how much validation there is around my art, around my creative practices, around this initiative, and it really feels so good to be seen. And I think that is something that we need to hear more often. When you are given the space, when you are in alignment with yourself and your values and what you believe in and the things that you would like to put out into the world, celebration or recognition for whatever that thing is, even if it's your family member saying how proud they are of you or whatever the case may be, celebrate those small achievements, celebrate those small moments, the words of affirmations that people give you, because that is what you need to continue to move forward. That is what you need to believe, that you as a person are valued, you are valid, and any room that you step forward in, any room that you step into, believe that you belong there and let that be just that. So I want to leave that quote with you all and just remind you that you are invited into rooms because you belong there. That is just one of the many lessons that I have gotten from my personal styling class so far. And I'm just really excited to see what else I will learn over the next couple of weeks and see how things evolve, not only in how I style myself outwardly, but also how I view myself internally as well. And so I'm just really grateful for this class and really just excited to see where we go from here. The other piece of learning that I have been working on is The Artist's Way, which is a self-help book and creative recovery program. It's really designed to help people unlock their creativity and overcome artist blocks, but it's really recommended for anyone. I am definitely a firm believer that anyone is an artist. I think that there's no one size fits all when it comes to what creativity or what art looks like. And so I think this is something that would honestly be beneficial to anyone. And so if anything that I say around The Artist's Way resonates with you, definitely give it a try. I will link a Notion page that includes the layout of The Artist's Way in the show notes. And I have actually been using the physical book because I was gifted it a couple of years ago. And so sometimes I like using an online resource or kind of typing my notes out, but The Artist's Way just seems like something I needed to really write down and be able to flip through the book and kind of annotate in the book itself. And so I've been leaning into that a lot more, but I will provide that in the show notes so that if that is something you guys are interested in, you can have access to it. So with The Artist's Way, there are a couple of key concepts with this. So first, morning pages. And this is really a daily practice of writing at minimum 3 pages of free-form thoughts to really clear your mind and create space for creativity. I have been not as consistent as I should be with the morning pages, but they have been working wonders. I feel like my mental clarity is just on 10 because there's not a lot of thoughts flowing when it doesn't have to be. And so I'm just really trying to lean into journaling because that's not something that I used to do very consistently, but having to do this every day, every morning has just been a really good practice to help clear my mind. And I think that's something that would be beneficial across the board. The second thing is going on artist dates. So these are weekly solo dates that help you to do activities that really inspire and excite you. So a lot of my artist dates have been small things like going to a class where I'm literally painting in the middle of a farm, or I am going to, next week, actually, my artist date is going to be doing a modeling session. There's a local artist who recently posted that they were looking for people to model for them so that they could take reference pictures, and I was just like, you know what, why not? And so next week, that will be my artist date. But your artist date really, it can just be anything. I tend to use it as a place to really explore. And sometimes I'll make my artist date be a studio session or a paint and sip where I'm just enjoying a glass of wine and I'm painting for a couple of hours or whatever that looks like. It just kind of depends on my energy, if I'm really in the mood to explore and try something new or whatever that looks like for the day. And so I encourage you to think about activities, things that inspire you, things that excite you that you can explore and do on your own. The next thing is focusing on creative recovery. So that's the process of really connecting with your inner child, with your inner artist, and overcoming the fears, the doubts, the self-sabotage that can really distract you from your creative expression. And the last focus is the connection between spirituality and creativity. There's a lot of pieces in the book that emphasize the spiritual aspects of creativity and how that kind of flows into your artistic expression and personal growth and self-discovery. And so it's very interesting to kind of see, things that were talked about and her language that she uses in the book, since this was written a couple of years ago, many years ago, but it's still very applicable to today. So I feel like you can kind of pick and choose what responds the most to you from that perspective of the book. In chapter 4, or in week 4, there was a sentence that read, "You are your own promised land, your own new frontier." And immediately I thought of frontier as a space for exploration, for growth. It's obviously something that's very unknown. There's no concrete, like, you can have a plan, you can have a thought of how you think something should go in the future, but it's all unknown. And I have just been thinking about how I'm actively stepping into a new frontier in many ways, and it's very interesting to feel that shift happening as I'm working on redefining or defining who I am. I am taking baby steps to loosen up or slightly change the things that no longer serve who I am. And a lot of times lately, and honestly very often throughout this last year, I have been feeling just not quite myself. And I'm just now realizing how really what that translates to is I'm not myself because I'm not myself. There's no way to expect who I was in January of 2024, earlier this year, to be the same person today in October of 2024. Even if it's just a couple of months, there are things that I have worked through, that I have experienced, that I have learned about myself and had to really sit with myself to process or think through. And so I'm actively trying to let go more and truly let things flow when it comes to stepping into a new era, stepping into a new season, a new frontier, because you have to honor where you are right now and also not be afraid to make space for new. So that's what I took from that quote. I think what I want to leave you all with most importantly today is I want you to think about how you are investing in yourself, especially as it comes to the next couple of weeks and months as we transition into the new year. And I want you to give yourself time to fully formulate what that investment into yourself looks like. Make sure whatever that approach is, whether that's achieving your goals, the things that you'll set up for yourself in the new year, make sure that the way that you go about it is at a pace that you can manage based on where you're at right now. Not where you will be, not where you were a couple of days ago, where you are at right now, this second. So I want that to be something that you guys think about as you move into the next year. And the last thing I want you all to remember today is when you look at progress, when you look at consistency, what that looks like is every day, but it can also look like once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month. Progress happens best and more sustainably when it happens over a period of time at a pace that works with where you are at now. So consider that in mind when you are thinking about the ways that you will invest in yourself, thinking about the goals, thinking about the things that you want to work towards as it comes to being the best version of yourself. And remember that there's nothing, absolutely nothing that you have to rush to. You are on your own timeline. As we're thinking about season 2, I will probably talk a little bit more about this in our next and final episode for season 1, but I am working on really embracing in that same energy how a concept U is evolving and how I am evolving with it. And I feel like for a while I questioned how interconnected I wanted a concept U to be into my creative practices. And I'm realizing that it's very hard to separate the two because I am this and this is me. I don't know. I think it just sync so well into my story, so it's very hard for me to create a divide between who I am and who a concept you, or what a concept you stands for. And so I'm just leaning into that idea a little bit more going into the next year, going into the next season, and understanding that there's really no way to express the gravity of this initiative without telling you all my story, without leaning more into it myself. And so that is my goal for a concept you for the next season. So I will be focusing on what I can do to pour into this initiative, to pour into this community, this space, at a pace that works best for me, that will give me that satisfaction, give me the goal of being able to really show up for you all and for myself in this space for a concept you. So that's all I have for you guys today. As always, thank you all for joining me, and don't forget to connect with us at a concept you on Instagram or at makalacreates.com/ACY. So I love you mucho, and I will see you on the next one. Until next time.